Okay, today we're going to look at measuring the spread of data. So we have measures of spread. The main two measures of spread that we're going to look at right now is going to be the range and the interquartile range. So your range is the difference between the maximum and the minimum data values. So basically here we have max minus min. Okay. The next we have is the interquartile range. So that is the difference between the upper and the lower quartiles. So we call the lower quartile Q1 and the upper quartile Q3. So we're going to take Q3 and we're going to subtract Q1. So you may be wondering, what in the world is a quartile 3 and a quartile 1? The lower quartile is the median of the lower half of the data set, and the upper quartile is the median of the upper half of the data set. So before you can find the quartiles, especially if you're going to do it by hand, I'm going to show you how to do it by hand at first, and then we're going to use technology. So in order to find the upper and the lower quartile, the first thing you have to do is divide the data set into two pieces, which means that you need to find the median. Okay, when you find the median, that median is then going to separate your data set into two pieces. And then you can then find the median of the lower spot, the lower portion, and then the median of the upper portion. Okay, so let's do it together. So, example one, I want to find the range and the IQR. So, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to arrange this in order from least to greatest. So, I have 2 written once, 3 is written twice. And I'm going to cross them off as I go. 4 is written twice. 5 is written 3 times. 6 is written twice. And then 7 is written twice, and 8 is written once. And you should always count your numbers to make sure that they are the same amount. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so it matches. So everything is in order. So now the range. The range is nothing but your max minus your min. So your range is equal to max minus min. So your max minus min is going to be 8 minus 2, which is equal to 6. So my range here is 6. The next thing that we want to do is we want to then find the interquartile range. But before I can find the interquartile range, I need to find the quartiles. And before I find the quartiles, I have to find the median. So if remember the median, you're crossing numbers from left to right. Okay, so we're going to cross them out from left to right, and that'll give us what we're doing. So here, boom, boom. So here, my median is 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my median out right there. So now that I know my median is 5, then I can look to the left of that median, and then I'm going to cross out again. So here I'm going to cross out my numbers from left to right here. So here I have 3 numbers. So here my median lies in the middle. And this number in the middle here, in the middle between 3 and 4, is 3.5. So 3.5 is my Q1. It's my lower quartile. If I look to the right of that median, I'm going to cross out. And I see that my median is going to fall directly in between here. And in between 6 and 7 is 6.5. Okay, 6.5 is in between there. 6.5. So that is my Q3, my upper quartile. So if I want to know what my IQR is, my interquartile range, all I have to do is do Q3 subtract Q1. And that is going to be 6.5 minus 3.5. And that will give me 3. If we want to use the calculator to figure this information out, if we go to, we're going to type all the numbers into L1. You do not have to type them in order. When you're doing it by hand, you have to do it in order. Okay, and then I'm going to press stat, go over to calculate, and then I'm going to go to number 1. So as you can see here, range is max minus min. So if we scroll down, you will see max and min written. So the max was 8 and the min was 2. And if we do 8 minus 2, we do get 6. And then if we look for the quartiles, we see that the quartile 1 is 3.5 like we got by hand, and quartile 3 is 6.5. And if you subtract those, of course, you get 3. So we know that this information is correct by looking in the calculator. Okay? So now let's do our last example of this. So we have a data set. So of course we want to arrange it from least to greatest. So we have 10, 12, 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, 24, 29, and 32. And I need to make sure I have 10 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So, of course, like we did before, the range is just your max minus min. So the max is 32 minus the min, which is 10. So we end up getting 22. That is the range. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to find the IQR. But before we can find the IQR, we have to find the quartiles. So in order to find the quartiles, I need to split this up into 2 halves. So I'm going to find my median. So I'm going to cross out from left to right. We see we end up having 2 numbers in the middle. So I'm going to mark my median here. That separates the lower half from the upper half. Notice in the first example, in example number 1, the reason why we put that line on the median through the 5 is because you cross out the middle number. The middle number in between 18 and 20 is 19. So it's that line in between 18 and 19 is like 18 and 20 is like me crossing out 19. So whatever your median is, you want to cross that number out. If it's in the middle, then you're not going to physically cross a number out, but it's like you're crossing one out in the middle. Okay. So next thing I want to do is I want to then look at the lower half, and I'm going to then cross out my numbers from left to right until I get to the one in the middle. So here I see that my Q1 is 16. And then if I cross out from left to from both ends, I see that my Q3 is equal to 24 here. Okay, so now that I have those, I can find my IQR by subtracting the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So that's going to be 24 minus 16, which is equal to 8. Okay, remember, use the calculator to check everything. I'm going to clear it out. So then I'm going to type in my numbers. and then we should get the same information. So as you see here, if we look down, we see all of our information. We see that our max was 32, like we said. We said that our min was 10. 32 minus 10 is 22, so the range is correct. And if we look at the Q1 and the Q3, the Q1 is 16 and the Q3 is 24, like we got. And if we subtract those, we will get 8. So this is how you find your range and your IQR by hand and using the calculator if you need to. All right. If you have any questions, please write them down and I will clarify for you later.